As I mentioned before, selectors can be very flexible, and so there's multiple ways to apply styles to an element, but some ways are going to be a bit more descriptive of what you're actually trying to do. So let's scroll down here for a moment, and let's look at a pattern. So here we have an h2 heading inside of a section tag. The section has a class, and we see the same pattern down here, an h2 heading inside of a section. Each one of these sections has its own class, and it's being styled a particular way. In addition, the headings inside of these sections are being styled in a particular way, but it seems like they're being styled differently only because they're inside of a section that creates a different style environment. So instead of applying a separate class to this h2 here and here, we can instead rely on the class of its parent in order to determine how to style this. So if I were going to summarize the use case, it would be that we're going to have elements inside of another element, and every element that's within the container element is going to have a particular styling. So to see how this works, let's just remove the class from the contained element. We'll remove that there. And now all of our styles that would apply to that element are no longer going to be applied. In PHP Storm, which is the IDE that I'm using, you can see that it grays out an unused class, which is kind of helpful. So we need a new selector for this. If you can think of what it is, go ahead and pause the video right now and do it. Okay, I'm going to go forward with it. So the solution is to use a compound selector. So we have .slide, which is styling this section, but we can add a new selector for heading 2s within that slide. So slide, and we can do a space, h2, and then we'll cut all of these styles and paste them in here. And we can remove our old selector. Let's save this and see if it worked. I'm going to jump back to the browser and refresh. Sure enough, it works fine. Now let's apply this same structure to our other child element that we're styling. Down here at the bottom, we have h2 class equals different, and the selector is up here, h2.different. But if we scroll down and removed this class, we could still apply styles to it based on its parent's elements class. That's a mouthful. So the parent is different. And if we scroll up, we're applying styles by using section.different. So let's use that same selector. So I'll copy it. And what I'll do is replace our h2 different with that. And then we'll add a space and do h2. Let's save that, jump back to the browser and refresh. And you can see that we still have the white border underneath, which is the only style that we're applying to that heading 2 tag. All right, so to summarize, this illustrates the second way that we can apply styles to an element. The first way was to add a class to it directly and apply styles to that. The second way is by using a parent class and styling the inside element based on that class. Now, when would you choose one over the other? Well, it depends what you're trying to say. So for example, if you know that every heading 2 tag that's inside of a slide is going to have a certain style, and that style isn't going to be used anywhere else, then you can depend on the slide class in order to determine what the styles are. However, if there are going to be other heading 2s that have a different style inside of a slide section, then it would make more sense to use a unique class for each one of those headings, instead of assuming that all of the headings are going to be the same like we are now. Also, if this style is going to be used somewhere else other than a slide, then that's also another use case for using its own class for doing the styling. Because if we use the compound style, we won't be able to use these styles elsewhere unless we copy and paste them. And copying and pasting exact styles that are going to be reliably used in different scenarios is something that we want to avoid at all costs.